What's up, good people? This your boy Artwork Geo, coming to you with another video. And if you've been watching my videos, you know that I position a lot of these topics from somebody who's currently in it. I struggle with some of these things myself. So, what I want to bring up to you today, man, or this evening, is being self-centered. I feel like we not self-centered enough, and I know when you hear the term self-centered, it can come off as a negative thing. By all means. I have the actual definition pulled up, so I'm gonna just break it down. Self-centered, independent of outside force or influence. The second definition is concerned solely with one's own desires, needs, or interests. So to have a self-centered mindset in a way where it's just all about you all the time, and you're not really taking other people's feelings and how they see things into consideration, and it's just all about you and you expect the world to revolve around you. There's a level of that I do think and feel that that's a negative side of it, right? But to have moments of this and to know when to turn it on and off, if your character is to be a good person and to be there for your people and to want to, take care of the ones you really love and care about, sometimes you got to be able to be a self-centered person. And when I say self-centered, my definition of it and what I consider applying fresh paint to that whole term. You see what I did there? Fresh paint, painted fresh daily. You see what I'm saying? We starting to really get the traction going. So stick with me. What I feel like the fresh paint mindset and how that word really applies to this over here is having that moment and just those moments while being who you are, still bigger picture, ultimately wanting to be there for the ones you care about. But being able to know, like, okay, it's time to be self-centered. And I think being self-centered and centering yourself as the core focus, but then still being able to balance that by reaching out, that same energy accordingly versus like that whole like running yourself thin, just trying to please everybody and do this over here, run over here and do that. And it's like you're not really telling people no, you're not setting boundaries. You just allowing people to use you. You allowing people to be there and really distract you and take space up. And it's like you really don't have time to lock in on yourself because you look up and you realize everybody's demanding your attention. And so when you spread yourself thin, sometimes you have to regroup and get centered. I think that the definition that I'm saying is, as far as like the way I'm coming with it, is to be centered, to be grounded. Once you establish yourself as the anchor, you can go out and you can do whatever you need to do for the ones around you. But when you don't have a sense of direction and you constantly getting pulled in different directions, you put yourself in a position where you're not really being replenished. And I made this example in another video where I talked about a well and how, a well is meant for people to drink from. But if nobody pours back into that well, it eventually runs dry. So that's where you come in, where you got to be the person to keep pouring into your own well by being centered in what we would consider being self-centered. You know what I'm saying? Almost being selfish. I feel like we not being selfish enough. Putting yourself first is important to be able to look out for the ones you care about. And see, I was going to title this video, you're not being selfish enough, but I feel like you're not being self-centered enough really hit harder because when you break it down, part of that is having to be selfish at times. It's just like money. Money isn't a bad thing depending on how you spend it, depending on what you do with it. uh, you know, Sometimes just knowing like, okay, I can't make it about, my loved one or my friend, whoever that might be. It can't be about them right now because you know how you feeling. Only you know what's required to keep you at an optimum level so you can be there for those people. So it's not really up to other people to approve of where you at with it. You got to be able to be okay with saying, you know what, it's not really about what you're saying right now. Like I have to make sure I take care of what I know is on my plate because this is going to ultimately benefit you. And sometimes you don't have time or the energy to really explain that and break that down to people. So it'll come off like you being selfish, self-centered in a bad way, like you're not really caring about other people. But when you said you make everything about you, you know what I'm saying? And it's like you're never caring about what other people have to say. That's different than being grounded, being centered, knowing, what makes you the best version of yourself. Because even if people try not to, a lot of people are innocent dream killers. And that could be your children. It could be your partner in your relationship. It could be family. It could be a job. It could be all types of things. Like a job is a perfect example, especially if you work and doing something that doesn't have anything to do with your purpose, and I'm definitely going to do a video about that. But, when you put yourself in a position where with this job, you doing everything you got to do for this company, but it's like, what are they pouring back into you? So you have to be able to say, even though it don't work for y'all, I know what works for me and I'm going to need to do X, Y, and Z. That's the mindset that we got to hold on to, because I know I'm not a selfish person. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm not a self-centered person, but I got to find those moments where I'm able to hit that switch and responsibly be selfish, be self-centered, put myself before other things. Even my son, like as much as I love my child, there's a certain time where I got to have me time and be able to reset and put myself in a position to be an even better father. So it's the same thing, like taking those trips or just having like that day where, you have somebody watch the kids and, you and the person you with go and have a weekend getaway. That's in some people's eyes being selfish. People might look at that as being selfish, but what they don't realize is you doing that so you can turn around and be a better parent. Taking the weekend off, taking that Monday off instead of going back to work with everybody else. Sometimes randomly taking that day off where you feel like, you know what, I need 3 days off this week. So you take that day off, you know what I'm saying? And allow yourself, even if you don't go anywhere, to just be at the house, relaxing and getting your mind right. Like sometimes it's necessary to just do things like that. And you almost don't even realize you need it because you so caught up in the world and what's going on. You don't realize it's time for you to have that moment of selfishness, that moment of being self-centered and putting yourself first ahead of all of this other stuff. So, what I wanted to do is bring that up to y'all and let you know, like, part of like building and becoming like the better version of yourself is to be selfish at times, is to be self-centered at times. It's really no way around it, because every day the world will be what it is. Every day the people around you are just who they are. And I guarantee you, without them even thinking about it, they're having moments of being selfish, having moments of centering themselves first. We all do it naturally, but we have to consciously be aware of it and know, like, okay, this is the time where I need to go ahead and be this way, because I don't have time to really, break it all down to people. Even if you break it down to the very like most basic way of explaining it, some people still won't really approve or accept what you're saying because it doesn't involve them and them benefiting from it. Like most people think surface level. So if you really even like allow yourself to get caught up on like people's approval, and if they got a problem with it, I don't get their blessings, so I ain't gonna do them like that. I don't want to make them feel a certain man. But look, meanwhile, you over here stressing out, you got headaches, you can't think straight, you got things you got to do. And it's not even just for you, it's so you can be the better version of yourself, so you can be there for those people. So you got to know sometimes, man, it's time to be selfish today. Like I'm not answering my phone when certain people call me. They used to you picking up on that first or second ring. Sometimes you can't answer the phone. It's not time to answer the phone. Sometimes you got to tell that friend, no, I can't do it. I'm not going wherever it is you invite me to this time. Like this is time for me. You got to be okay with your own company. Being able to say, you know what, all the noise that's around me, I got to just block that out. It's time for me to lock in on me. What do I need to do to make sure that I'm good for the people that I care about? That's all it really is, because they're not going to consciously tell you. And some people will. They'll tell you, hey, you know what? You need some time to yourself. But I think when people realize it and they really say something, that's because you at a point where you should have been said something to yourself. You should have been able to look in the mirror and tell yourself a long time ago, hey, it's time for me to reset, or hey, it's time for me to replenish myself. I need a little time to me so I can get my thoughts right. Like we have to consciously be able to tell ourselves when it's time to do that. Who else is going to do it? People will try to be there for you, but nobody know you like you know yourself. So, I really want to touch on that with y'all tonight, man. I don't want to take up too much of your evening. You know, it is kind of late for me, but I wanted to make sure I hit you with this before I went to bed. I think it is important, you know, again, to just lock in on you, you know, and then of course, if you're not that kind of person to where you just block people out and just all the time not care about, you know, what people got to say or how they feel about things, and it's just all about you, that could be unhealthy. That can be the negative side of it. But if you know, like, okay, I got to have a moment of thinking like this and just blocking other stuff out because this is going to help them out. Like, I've done that. I do it a lot more now. You know, I could be in the middle of like my workout and I see people calling my phone. Man, I just put my phone on do not disturb. So as soon as I get to the gym, there's no calls coming through. You know, and these people, they just want to check on me, or they might just have a genuine, honest, you know, question, or want to say something to me or communicate, whatever. But in this moment, is it the best thing for me when I'm locked in, you know, 45 minutes to an hour, just straight cardio? I'm pushing, I'm sweating. And then that phone call could throw me off. And it's like, nah, I can't even do that because indirectly this workout is benefiting them. I'm helping myself get to a higher level. You know what I'm saying? Build my confidence up, you know, focus on my workouts and get myself right, and then be able to be that better parent, that better son, that better sibling, that better partner as soon as I find the right one. You know what I'm saying? Because whole nother topic, but um, you know, whoever she might be in the future, like, hey, I'm working out right now. I'm locked in. You know what I'm saying? And you don't have time to explain it to people. Answer, hey, I'm gonna call you back. I'm in the middle of work. And then sometimes they want to keep talking and got extra stuff to say. And it's like, let me just think for them. Let me just do what I know is the best thing to do and just not answer. Let me be responsible and look out for myself in advance and just put my phone on do not disturb. Sometimes we gotta do that. We gotta be able to just put life on do not disturb, because sometimes life will get at you and throw you all the way off. So y'all my good people, man. All my coworkers, man, we out here putting in work on ourselves at a job. But just period, man, just know you gotta have those moments. You gotta know when to just lock in on you. It will benefit them in the long run. And you don't have time in the moment to explain it to them. You just gotta do it and be okay with people feeling how they feel. And when it works for you, you can have them little moments where you let them know where you at with it and why you move the way you move these days or whatever the case is. But being selfish, man, is just one of those things. Being self-centered is just part of the grind, part of the come up, man. The only way is up. So I ain't gonna hold you. Like, comment, subscribe, extremely important, man. I know you probably take something from the video and it might help you out. So look out for me. You know what I'm saying? Hit me with a comment. I want to know how you see the situation. If this added any value to you. But also, more importantly, definitely like, comment, and subscribe, though. I already said comment. You know, I just broke that down. I'm saying the same thing. But I'm speaking freely, man. I'm just having a conversation with y'all. So it's going to come out like this. I'm going to stumble over my words. Think about it, you on the phone with people. They not saying everything perfect. People interrupting each other. You might say a word funny and wrong or all that. So that's what we doing. I'm not scripting none of this. I'm just keeping it real with you, telling you what it is straight from my mouth, just what it is. All right. So I'll holler at y'all, man. Y'all be cool. It's work.